All right, let's go ahead and get started. Um, we will go through some screens. We'll wait for more people to join, but otherwise we can get the show on the road. So first things first, you are here in the ServiceNow AI Academy, where you can join ServiceNow experts and peers. You can join us at future events. You can see the schedule by clicking on or that scanning that QR code there on the right-hand side. And of course, there's a variety of other resources at your disposal, whether it's a ServiceNow Impact to maximize the power of the AI platform for your business. You can also build team, individual, or organizational talent through our learning program. So you can learn more at ServiceNow University, previously known as Now Learning. And then if you want expert help from ServiceNow and our partners, you can learn more at the expert services community. We may, or I may state some forward-looking statements in the academy. If so, please take note of our safe harbor statement. And then resources for today's session. We have, of course, our Now Assist and AI community forum. So take a look there. As noted, all our webinars, including this one, will be recorded and will be posted on YouTube within the week. And you can check out our Now Community YouTube page there. There's also an AI Academy playlist as well for all our past AI academies. And then for session-specific content, introducing model provider flexibility article. Well, that one's for a previous academy. I should have changed that. I do have an article for model context provider. If you just searched the article there and Ashley gave you a leg up by pasting the link, you can go check it out there as well. Some housekeeping items. We've saved time for some Q&A, so either put your questions in the Q&A, not in chat. Q&A, please. We will address them at the end of time permitting. And again, this will be recorded. And as always, please fill out the survey at the end. We do appreciate and read your feedback. So today's academy is on MCP client with Now Assist AI agents. I'm your host today, Victor Chen. And here's a brief agenda. We're going to do a quick overview, probably even shorter than 15 minutes, but we'll see. I'll do a demo, the crux of our academy here, and then we'll wrap with Q&A. So MCP client support is part of our broader product suite, which we're calling AI Agent Fabric. If you attended Knowledge Conference or if you watched our Knowledge recordings, which I recommend you do, you would have probably heard of AI Agent Fabric. And this is our way to give you the capabilities to connect to third-party agents as well as third-party tools to enhance your Now Assist agentic workflow orchestration. So if you're trying to connect to third-party agents with Now Assist Orchestrator or with third-party tools with your agents, then Fabric is the way to go. And under Fabric, we provide you again with MCP, which client support, as well as A2A in the future, and MCP as a server in the future as well. And time permitting, we'll talk about that at the end. So what is MCP? You've probably heard about this already if you've lived in the world of AI, excuse me, AI and LLMs in the past year. But built by Anthropic, it is a protocol that allows your agents a standardized way for an LLM to access external systems and their functions. So if you think about ServiceNow's AI agent as an MCP client, that client could connect to a protocol which then allows you to connect seamlessly with any multiple or any MCP servers, right? So there's a client, there's a server. We as a client, we can prompt information or access tools provided by MCP servers. And the benefits of this is that it is built for the LLM/agentic moment, right? LLM and prompts are its natural language. So it's quite easy to use and utilize, as you will see in a moment. It does provide scalability and accessible protocol for multiple systems. So, as it's different from an API in which I don't need to necessarily know the different API requests and responses, and I'm not as hamstrung by those necessarily. And there's been broad industry traction. I saw a cartoon recently, in fact, that there are probably more MCP builders than there are users at this case. That's an opinion, but once you see the usability of MCP, maybe that'll change. in the demo, right? But if you go to that GitHub link there, or if you just Google MCP, you'll see a whole ton of resources from many vendors, not just ourselves, but other enterprise systems, other community builders, etc. In terms of risks, so MCP is still relatively new, and because it uses prompts and provides connections to external systems, it does increase the attack surface area. So I do recommend reviewing your MCP server whenever you connect to one. Make sure that you trust it and that it has good guardrails and that you review the documentation, etc., and that you use authentication. In our demo, we will provide one example without authentication and one example with. But if you're trying, depending on what your use case is and what you're trying to do and who's accessing it, I recommend authentication when possible. So this is what came out in the Zurich GA release. So Zurich was shipped and released September 10th, so a couple weeks ago now. So if you have Zurich patch 1 or Yokohama patch 6, you have MCP client support with Now Assist. So it provides an MCP client tool in your ServiceNow AI agents, and you can also then configure and access external MCP servers to use external tools, again, with or without authentication. Because it is a tool, it consumes assists as an AI agent tool. So if you recall, AI agents, depending on the number of tools and action it runs, that determines how many assists it consumes. So MCP access is considered a tool in that regards. What's not supported yet? So streaming is not supported yet. Uh, So, you do use HTTP streamable as our transport, but pure streaming is not supported yet. STDIO transport is also not supported. Calling resources or prompts also not supported. And let's see, but tools that's out right now. And then what's not supported yet is the June 18th spec. So if you're following Anthropic's release schedule, you'll know that their latest release is June. But that is coming later. For now, for today, Zurich GA, we're currently on the March 26th spec of MCP client. So with that, let's go to what's next? Demo. And I don't know why the slide did not update, but I can change that. It says it's supposed to say, yeah, there you go. Requires Now Assist and AI agents. I don't know why the slide share shows me differently, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's jump to the demo. So give me a second here while I pause screen share and switch to my instance. And resume. So this is an instance. It is on the Yokohama patch 6 release, but it's going to be very similar to Xeric patch 1. So as I mentioned, it does require Now Assist AI agents. So let me just show you. Let me first show you the plugin. So what you first need to do after you install Now Assist AI agents, which you probably already do if you have Now Assist. So just to recap here, AI agents. There's Now Assist AI agents. And then if I switch, there you go, Model Context Protocol, Model Context Protocol Client. So these are the two plugins you want to be installed. I see there's an update available. That's okay. We'll update it later, but those are the two plugins you want to be installed and made up to date as much as possible. So after you install those two plugins, let's jump into our AI Agent Studio. Um, So we have our agentic workflows. We have AI agents. We also have settings. So we're going to go to settings because this is where we set up our MCP servers. And you'll see here, manage MCP servers. Okay, so we'll click on that. And you see we have I've set up a variety of MCP servers. In order to set one up, you simply click New, you give it a name, and then you select your authentication type. You have option of OAuth, API key, or others. And then you need to put in your MCP server URL. So every MCP server has a URL, and you can find it in the doc. So as an example, if I were to go to an MCP server like the Microsoft Learn MCP server. Microsoft Learn is their document is Microsoft documentation site. If I scroll down here, this is their MCP URL. So I paste this into here and I click next a couple times, and then it would create this record here. And the connection alias, along with the connections and the credentials record, is all automatically created for you. So if you, depending on whether you selected OAuth or API key, it'll automatically create the connection and credentials records for you. For my second example, I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, but this takes care of that. Okay. Let's see, this MCP server, let's look further down the documentation here, limitations, etc. I'm trying to find where the list of tools is. Yeah, here's the endpoint. Here's tools. So the tools for this server is either docs search or docs fetch. That makes a lot of sense. So this MCP server is to help AI agents be able to fetch and search documentation. So those are the two tools. Let me do that. So once I create the MCP server record, I can now create an AI agent to use that MCP server. So let's go to create and manage. I've created an AI agent already to use this. I'm going to show you like step by step how it's built. So I created this MS Learn agent. And I basically set the description. This agent lets users search Microsoft Learn, the role, you're an expert in Microsoft products. And I have one step. Use Microsoft Docs search to search the user's query and Microsoft's documentation. Okay. So then if I save and continue, I go to tools and instructions. I have here an MCP tool set up already. Let me show you how I set this up. So you click add tool and you click MCP protocol tool. And you can then select the server. So these are all the servers I've set up, right? So once you've set up the Microsoft Learn server, this will show up in the dropdown. Select this. And then you'll know that you set up the MCP server correctly because in the tools dropdown, oh, there's a new one, new tool. In the MCP tool dropdown, you'll see your tools: search, code sample search, and fetch. If the dropdown does now, it might take a bit of a while, it might take like a couple seconds, but if the tool dropdown does not show a list of tools, that means you didn't set up your MCP server correctly. You may have to go back there and check your authentication or your setup. But if this shows, that means you're on the right track here. Okay, so I would select, for example, Microsoft Docs search. These inputs are brought over from the server, and then you do a tool, you kind of write your tool description, etc. So let me show you how I built mine. So see here, I use Microsoft Docs search, and tool description is very simple. Search through Microsoft's Learn documentation for the user query. Autonomous, display output set to no, paraphrase. Okay. So, and then I click save and continue. Now let's go test this thing. So save and continue. No triggers needed for today. I did turn it on in my Now System virtual agent. That's okay. So now I can do something like this. I can say something like, search Microsoft Learn for GPT 4.1 availability in Europe. And it will run this agent. We can see the steps on the right-hand side here as it's running. It's calling the tool and it's creating output and it's paraphrasing the output because that's what I said as the output, method there. And you can see all the raw text here, but here you can see the answer that the agent got from the MCP server. Okay. So that's how you use MCP client. Now, there are other ways to get data from external systems other than MCP, right? There are APIs, there are spokes or agentic spokes, right? As well as MCP. Depending on your use case and depending on your flexibility, your security posture, your familiarity, you don't always have to use MCP to get data from external system. Like if your use case is, oh, I need to look up, my vacation hours from Workday or look up a purchase order number from Salesforce. MCP can definitely do it, but it might be overkill, right? Let me show you the power of MCP though. Like, remember if when I told you that MCP was built for the agentic LLM moment, it was built for prompting. So I can do something like this, and this is something that you can do that you can't do with API. You can say, let's take this prompt here, search Microsoft da 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 for Europe, and say in the tone of a friendly European tour guide. So you can essentially prompt the MCP server with your client, right? And this prompt is just a simple example of just tonality, but of course you can kind of imagine how you can use prompt in other ways to get data in different ways with the MCP server. But if you were to try this with an API key, you probably wouldn't get much success. Certainly not in tonality or whatever. But you can see here, now the MCP response is different because the protocol and the LLMs have molded it per your prompt in one shot. So, welcome traveler. If you explore the wonders of GPT-4.1 in Europe, yada yada yada. Very friendly, very European. Very much like a tour guide. Okay, so that's how you use MCP client and server. Doing a quick time check. Okay, we have some time here. So now let's create another MCP server using OAuth. So OAuth requires a token, and I'll show you how to do that. So for that, we're going to go to settings. We're going to create a connection for Notion. So Notion, as you guys know, it's a note-taking slash collaboration app. I know that's putting it simply, but that's the gist of it there. They've got an MCP server as well, which let me open up the documentation here. Da, da. Again, all this can be Googled here. You can see they have their own public URL. You do need a Notion account, which is free to use this because it does rely on your connection and your credentials. So once you figured that out, so you go to the AI Agent Studio, you click New. You give your Notion MCP server a name, mini name. I call mine Notion. You can see here OAuth. You paste in the MCP server URL here, which is this. And once you click next a couple times, it'll create you the record as long as the connection alias, which I'm going to click into, along with the credential. It's going to take a while to load here, and I probably can't access it elegantly here. It's more as reference. But if I were to navigate to connections and credentials aliases. Find my Notion. There it is. It's got the long, there's auto created. So it's auto gen with the long number, etc. So that's it. Click on that. And then click on my connections or and then connections and then credentials. And then here you want to click get OAuth token, get OAuth token, not talking, OAuth token. And when you do that, you're gonna get a pop-up with your Notion login details, like you're probably logged in with email in Notion, and you're going to click authorize and next and confirm a couple times, and then that'll get you your OAuth token, right? If you selected API key for an MCP server, all you need to do is paste in an API key in the server setup screen, or you could do it in your credentials record that they set up for you. But OAuth is just a little trickier. You just need to get an OAuth token, authorize it with your Notion account, right? You don't see my account details up here, but you need to log into Notion to do this in the same browser. And your token, you're probably going to last you a couple months. Okay. Once you click on that, and once you get your token, and once that's successful, you can test your MCP. So let's give that a shot. So go back to AI agents. Go back to let's go to my record here. So this is my agent for Notion. You can see it's very similar. There are two tools I'm using. Notion, by the way, provides a ton of MCP tools. The one I'm going to use is fetch and add comment. And let's see here. So yeah, I have two tools here. Again, both created via the add tool. Let me switch scope so I can click into these later. Yeah, so here's my instructions. Here are my two tools. One called search where I take these query and search my Notion pages, and then one called add comments to a page. You can see the description right there. Let's give this a test. And let me show you, let me pause screen and log into my Notion account so you can actually see what Notion's going to do. Okay, gotta log in. Okay, this should be it. So resume share. You see I have two um, pages here. These are basically copy paste from the community forum. One's analysis FAQ, one's an FAQ on third-party model provider, right? So let's go here, go back to here, save and test. And I can say something like, search for third, right? I'm pretty sure I can find this answer, or MCP can find this answer in my web pages. And it's running. While that's running, I'll take a quick peek at the Q&A here. So yeah, here we go. Here's our answer, a little chunky answer here. Wow, really, really long. But you can see the answer. You can see the source. I guess it combined the two sources here. Um, in such a case, that's probably why it took so long. In such a case, I probably would have changed my output strategy to probably paraphrase or concise. Then it says we'd like to add a comment. I'll be like, yeah, let's add comment to now assist FAQ page, saying this is cool. Right now, you see, if I were to try to do this with an API, this would probably be the wrong request structure, the wrong request format. I'd probably get an error saying, what are you talking about here? But because again, we're using LLMs, I can one-shot this, provide them with a prompt-based instruction or prompt-like instruction, and the MCP protocol will be able to understand this, send it to the MCP server. The MCP server understands this via its tools and abilities, and it can do that. So here's a little, success message. And if I were to go back to my page, you can see here, this is cool, done. All right. So that's the power of MCP. Let me go back to the slides here. Da, da, da. And we can spend the rest of the time doing Q&A. So, a question here, is this what's being called workflow data fabric? So was this addressed or not yet? That's fine. Workflow Data Fabric will provide MCP as well. So as of today, MCP client is part of Now Assist. In the future, like I mentioned, MCP server, and there may be enhancements made to MCP that may be included in Workflow Data Fabric in the future. Let's see. Next question. MCP clients can connect to ServiceNow AI. Let's see. MCP clients can connect to ServiceNow AI agents as well. Not yet. So again, that's part of MCP server, which is coming out later. Could the MCP server be used to use external agents in ServiceNow? External agents in ServiceNow. So again, also not yet. So today we've only covered and we've only released MCP client capabilities. So whether you want ServiceNow to be MCP server or whether you want A2A, agent to agent capabilities, that is coming, just not yet. What is the difference of using MCP with or without using spokes or other means? MCP and spokes and APIs, they're all different tools to achieve similar outcomes. So you may want to use all three tools in one workflow. You don't have to. And that would be, that'd be showboating in some respects. But again, they're different tools. MCP, again, it's a new protocol built for agentic and LLMs. spokes, as part of Integration Hub, those have been around forever. And APIs is probably the most, manual process to connect external systems to ServiceNow. We allow it, right, through scripting or through whatnot. But that's, certainly the most manual. How to use an external agent in agentic workflow? I believe that's agent to agent. So again, I'll punt that question till later. Can you cast more glance at about the prompts and resources of the MCP? So, like I mentioned earlier, uh, prompts and resources are not available yet to access part of MCP client. It will be in the future. Again, safe harbor applies. If you want to learn more about MCP's ability to use prompts and resources, Anthropic has great tutorials about it. And then next and last question, don't the AI agents follow any API call input output parameter structure if we're using MCP, and can it work with NLU? So I'll answer the second question first. No, this is not available with NLU virtual agent. This is only available with AI agents. And does it follow any API call input output parameter structure for using MCP? It is in the back. It is in the background, but we've kind of, we've simplified. We ServiceNow now assist. We simplified that to make it as low code as possible, so that you only need to be concerned about setting up the server via connections and credentials, and then setting up the tool in our AI agent, and then the prompts. So yes, in the background, or if you were to build this manually, there would probably be some sort of API call involved, but in this case, there isn't. All right, I believe those are all the questions. And again, I thank Ashley for answering some of the questions offline as well. If there are no more questions, again, thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks as we do cover more items in AI Academy. And you can again look forward to this recording to be uploaded on YouTube very shortly. Thank you, everyone.